$1 million a year in taxes off of the medical marijuana.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't realize that.
That's what it is. Is $1 billion worth the life of one person? Is $2 billion worth the life of a person? Is $3 billion worth? How many little kids whose life will be destroyed because their parents got killed using marijuana?
Either using it or somebody else was.
And they'll say, well, we can use that same talk about alcohol. Well, yeah, but alcohol has been regulated for God awful long time.
Yeah.
It's basically got a track record. Basically, everybody knows that alcohol is a no-no, but you're telling everybody that marijuana isn't.
Well, yeah, because by legalizing it, you're saying.
Because you legalize a drug, alcohol is basically so controlled, it's unbelievable. They control
that
what you
and cigarettes.
And cigarettes.
They've got all these warning labels all over them. You can't have commercials on TV. Why do you think there's so many alcohol sponsors?
There's nothing to forbid you from doing commercials for marijuana on television and advertising. I mean, I can see, Pokemon lighting up his marijuana because there's nothing illegal about Pokemon doing it to kids. It's not. Well, they say they won't do it. Well, the hell they won't. I mean, the same people.
I mean, just like you see these ads and you're like, well, how could they do those ads, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just like, okay, let's say Katy Perry on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Now, see that? I really think that's all a publicity stunt.
Well, first of all, they knew it wasn't going to go on, but they released it beforehand so that everybody would see Katy Perry hanging out of her outfit.
But that wasn't any more hanging out than I normally see. I mean,
I know, it's just this normal.
I mean, than you normally see on
They
any
knew
award
that
show.
Bill O'Reilly would make a fuss because Bill O'Reilly and some of the people over at Fox and from the right wing are from a century that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and just like Paris Hilton with that Carl's Jr. hamburger, right?
Yeah,
and,
commercial never ran. All they got to do is to run something that they never make something they never intend to get run. But we've hit that
with
problem.
marijuana.
We've been told that she's too hot, to be, so we've had things shut down because she's too hot, which is funny. Girls with no clothes on. Actually, we have been told we're too hot on a site where they're advertising porno flicks right above the things that they took down. Where a girl is basically spread wide and having sex. And they took our bill.
And I didn't even get to do fun stuff.
I know, and so
we were just talking about news.
They took our videos down, and they got the sex stuff is on the same right where they took our stuff down, and they put the sex stuff on our videos too for sale, which is funny. But the marijuana thing is stupid. They're all trying to justify it by the fact it's harmless. No, it's not harmless. It's never been harmless. Never will be harmless. And basically, I could tell you. I can guarantee you. When I was in college, the chem class kids would basically overprocess the marijuana. Basically, they'd formulate it, break it all down to its components, and basically, can you believe I was from the 50s and the early 60s, 50 years ago.
Oh yeah, so you've been around it.
Yeah.
I just remember those. What are those hookah things?
Yeah, I was that age. I was that age actually. That age when they really was bad. Let's put it this way.
It was very prevalent.
I predate Jack Nicholson and Easy Rider, folks, all that stuff. I mean, that was tame compared to the stuff that was going on when I was at school, because I'm from the beatnik generation, and the beatniks were the real users of marijuana and drugs, not the people that came after.
So you speak from personal experience.
Oh, I grew up around all these people.
So you really saw the effect that they had.
I met Timothy Leary before Timothy Leary got stoned. That's how long ago that was. Before they invented LSD, and he was using marijuana, and he'd be like this in his class. Everybody knew that he was on. He wouldn't even hide the fact. He'd be in a.
You could walk in the classroom and
smell.
You'd
walk in the classroom, and basically there was a wall. I mean, I grew up around hemp ropes. Because all the cowboys and stuff, what you do, here's an example. Hemp is basically is marijuana. In order to fix your hemp rope, you want to seal the ends of it off.
You burn
so
it.
You burn it. You basically light the end, tap it down, basically put the fire out, light the end again, and that's how you get you're searing the end solid. And basically, you're just continually doing that, and the place smells. I mean, basically, if you were going to be a musician, it'd be a great place to go, is where a bunch of cowboys are fixing their lariats so that they could have them for their horses. I mean, I've seen major cowboy stars who would never ever, you know, like my father. My father said he worked on The Legend of Jesse James, and he said Henry Fonda, who tended to be a little bit, he was really Midwestern square, and he said, you know, Henry Fonda actually studied music in school. So, and he knew about musicians, and he'd come in, wow, my father would say, wow, is that what I think it is? And they, no, it's not. And he said, it sure smells like what I think it is. And they explained to him, no, it's the cowboys are getting their ropes ready. Because what happens is, too, if you busted the end off, then they sit there and re-sear the whole thing again. So it was almost like a daily process. The people would have their new stuff. They basically used ropes. They'd cut off pieces of rope and use them for, you know, for leads on the horses. Horses would break the things, and then they basically continually working on them. So the place would smell like you're in a marijuana factory. My father said basically a lot of people were happy a lot of the time. And that's really powerful stuff. But we're talking 70 years ago that this was going on. So I do have a good idea about how bad it is. I grew up in the entertainment industry. I'm also a musician, folks. Yeah, you know,
So guess what you see around?
Oh, I have walked into so many places with so many people.
With this thick cloud of smoke.
Because I mean, I can't tell you the name of the musician that basically was on the network for a long time, but we're talking, I guess, basically before he got to be famous, and he's in there, and he's just wailing away on his tool, and just going wild on it, and we're all looking, he doesn't have an instrument in his hand. But he's making music, I mean, you know, just, and, you know, just, and he, you know, I hope all of you guys are getting this down on the, you know, basically in their, you know, they're up there in the studios, you know, recording. He's just really great at it. I heard Keith Richards once compose one of the greatest pieces of music he composed while he was totally stoned on marijuana.
I've heard there's been a lot of that for musicians.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically high and, you know, like, if anybody remember, ain't got no satisfaction. That was when he was stoned. How about you know, they didn't call it the Rolling Stones for nothing. How about Mama, Sunday, Monday?
Well,
you know,
a lot of artists have used it as a creative force.
Basically, yeah, you know, but
Helps them to relax.
And basically, they become mellow yellow. A lot of the '60s music was all created while people were stoned. And they weren't stoned on hard drugs, they were on marijuana, folks. Marijuana was the first step into the harder stuff.
It's where those flower children came from.
What happens is, as in cigarettes, you build a tolerance up. And because it's bloody expensive to keep buying marijuana, whereas you can go get amphetamine, you can get other pills.
Oh, that's why they go into the other drugs.
Because I remember,
that's why it's an entry-level drug.
I remember I was talking to Mama Cass, which tells you how old I am. I didn't know Mama Cass. I actually sang background on some things. And she said that we found out it was cheaper to buy a 1,000-pill container of such and such than it was to buy a couple of pounds of weed. And you could just sit there and go like this. You know, said everybody could just reach in and grab the stuff. And basically, that's the whole trick. You don't, when marijuana is going to be more expensive than the drugs, basically they're going to simply, because of the taxes, they're going to push people from the drug. Why the hell do you think that there's you know, we have winos in the country. Big wine is too expensive. They go to the knockoff cheap stuff made by people, you know.
The really cheap stuff.
You know, the cheap stuff, you know, the stuff that's making $1 a gallon.
You mean the stuff that makes $2 chocolate expensive?
And this is where, basically, that's the stuff that really makes people sick. And you know, why do you think moonshine came about? Because alcohol got to be too expensive. Moonshine was dangerous.
Really? I didn't even. What exactly is moonshine then?
Basically, it's not about you process the stuff and make your own. Moonshine is alcohol, folks. That's where NASCAR got developed, because back in my days, my father chased a lot of shiners in this area with his motorcycle. And his cycle was not quite as fast as those guys like I said, my father once chased Richard Petty's father for some time. And my father got to know Richard Petty. I got to know Richard Petty. And he said, yeah, your daddy chased my daddy, didn't he? He said, your daddy never caught my daddy, did he? Your daddy couldn't catch me either, could he? Yeah. Richard Petty was very proud of the fact that they were shiners. I mean, let's put it this way, I am a Southerner. So I may have been born out here, but a lot of people from the South are born in the state of California. You know, but it's just everything, because marijuana is going to be so god-awful expensive. They're going to go to something. The people from Mexico, the Russians are going to move into California. They're going to control the industry out here. They're going to they don't care the price is going to go up. The higher the price goes, the easier it is for them to bring in the stuff. Let's see, what was it? I think I worked on a picture 60 years ago with Richard Widmark. I think Richard Widmark and Walter Palance, who ended up with Jack Palance, basically they were dealing with drugs and stuff. They basically, I think Jack Palance was flooding the market, but the good guy was Richard Widmark. Back in those days, he didn't play good guys, but they couldn't have him be a bad guy and Palance be a bad guy. Palance, I mean, they were flooding the market with cheap drugs to get people hooked. And what's going to happen is marijuana is going to go up to here. They're going to start flooding the cheap stuff in from Mexico because the Mexican government is basically going to ease off on them for a while because there's no problems. They're going to have the stuff cheaply come into the United States. And then they're basically going to hook people on the hard drugs. It's how it's going to be. I guarantee you, but nobody's going to listen because it's history.
That's the danger of it.
History is.
That's the danger of it, and that's why some people are very much opposed to it.
But they don't care because even you know, state officials look at it as a means of fixing a budget, which isn't going to fix a budget because you're going to have to spend more for medical people that are hooked on this stuff than you are for the money you're going to make off it. And as again, like I said, will Arnold Schwarzenegger, will Geraldo Rivera, will Jack Nicholson, will all of these people that are supporting marijuana use in the state of California take personal responsibility for the first person that is killed as a result of something they supported?
No.
They've already said they won't. Because it's not their responsibility. All they did was give people their opinion. Well, if their opinion leads to the death of someone else, basically, I'm going to tell you, it's a very big deal. A misdemeanor turns into a felony. If you knowingly support something that you know is going to hurt somebody, you then become a felon. The other person may commit a misdemeanor. You've committed a felony. It is a felony to knowingly support something that you know is going to cause an injury or cause suffering to another individual. Good, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with illegal immigrations. That it may only be a misdemeanor coming into, coming into the, I don't know what that noise is. No, but it may only be a misdemeanor for an illegal alien to come into the state. It is a felony to get, it is a total felony to have to get a Social Security card.
What about your laptop?
No, we're standing in front of a ghostly thing, and my cell phone.
We had a ghost.
My cell phone is doing something. It's fully charged. It was doing. People could hear it beforehand. We thought it was a computer. Maybe no, it was a cell phone making that noise. But it fully, probably somebody was calling me or something, or somebody was checking my GPS. I got no idea. Actually, we're talking about marijuana, so maybe they were after us.
Maybe.
You know, but no, it's just. I mean, I'm older than her. You know.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. Let's put it this way: I'm a lot older than her. People say I'm the creepy old person. Well, yeah. So, but I know that it's not safe like they tell people. And
You've been around long enough and you've seen it very prevalent.
I know. I've seen it. I've seen what happened to people. I have seen actors basically destroy their lives. I have seen actors basically that have had accidents. They've smashed their faces in having accidents because they didn't realize that they were